Have you ever felt like no matter how much you give, it's never enough? You show up, you care, you stay when others walk away. And yet, she's gone. No explanation, no closure, just silence. You start questioning everything. Was I too much? Too little? Not exciting enough? Not dangerous enough? And then it hits you. She wasn't confused. She was choosing. But not with logic. Not even with her heart. She was choosing with something far older. Something buried deep in the biology of every woman. A calculation older than civilization itself. Unconscious. Ruthless. Inevitable. Women evolved to be choosy because the costs of mating are far greater for them. That's not some cynical internet quote. That's evolutionary psychologist David BUSS, a man who spent his life studying what most men ignore until it's too late. And once you understand what he means, you'll never see female behavior the same way again. Because the pain you felt? It wasn't random. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't because you were broken. It was because evolution doesn't care about your feelings. A woman's biology is shaped by millions of years of one brutal truth. If she chooses wrong, she pays. Her body carries the risk. Her time carries the risk. Her future, her safety, her life. So she evolved to detect everything. Weakness, insecurity, indecision. She sees it all, before you even know it's there. And if she senses that you're not what she needs, she leaves. Not always physically, sometimes emotionally, sometimes silently, but always intentionally. It's not about cruelty, it's about survival. And this is where most men fall apart. Because we think effort equals loyalty. We think being nice equals being chosen. We think consistency guarantees connection. But evolution doesn't reward intentions, it rewards outcomes. You could love her with everything in you, but if she senses that your genetics, your resources, your mind, your spirit don't secure her future, you will be filtered out. That's the word David BUSS uses, filtering. Women filter. They assess, test, feel, observe, constantly. And most of it happens below awareness. You thought she ghosted you because she was confused. No, she had all the data she needed. She just didn't feel it. Do you feel that sting in your chest right now? That's not just heartbreak. That's the death of an illusion. The illusion that love is enough. That kindness is rare. That being a good man should make you desirable. But let me ask you something. Have you ever seen a woman cry over a man who treated her like gold, and yet run back to someone who gave her chaos? That's not dysfunction. That's instinct. Her body is wired to respond to power, presence, potential, not politeness. She doesn't want to feel safe in the boring sense. She wants to feel chosen by a man she perceives as high value. And this is the paradox most men can't accept. She wants to feel that you have options, even if she secretly wants to be your only one. She wants to feel your independence, even when she clings to your attention. She wants to know you'd be fine without her, but still choose her. Do you feel this conflict? Have you lived it? Tell me in the comments. What moment made you realize that effort wasn't enough? I want to hear your story. Not just the pain, but what it taught you. Because this isn't about blaming women. This is about waking up, understanding that biology is the software behind the mask, that your heartbreak isn't personal. It's evolutionary. You weren't rejected because you were a bad man. You were rejected because you were invisible to her instincts. She didn't choose him because he was better. She chose him because he activated something ancient inside her. Something primal. It could have been his tone, his gaze, his disregard, his lack of emotional neediness. That's the irony. You cared too much, too soon. She sensed it, and it felt off. Because women evolved to be attracted not just to kindness, but to strength within kindness. Power under control. Dominance without chaos. That's the rare combination that overrides fear. That makes her biology say, I'm safe, I'm turned on, I can surrender. Not just intellectually, but hormonally, physiologically. And that's what you're up against. Not her standards, but nature's. So if you feel like every modern woman is harder to impress, harder to keep, harder to connect with, you're not imagining it. Women are more selective now not because they're more cruel, but because evolution gave them the advantage of choice. And in a world full of men who've lost their fire, she's not going to lower her instincts. She's going to wait for the man who remembers who he is. And if that's not you yet, it can be. But not through pretending, not through manipulation, not through begging or pleasing or manifesting love. It comes through transformating, through reclaiming your edges, through shedding the nice guy mask, and facing your own darkness. The part of you that's tired of being overlooked, tired of giving everything and getting nothing, tired of smiling through rejection. That part of you is sacred. It's where your true masculinity lives. Not the one society told you to have, but the one evolution demands you find. And here's the truth they don't teach you. A man who reclaims himself becomes dangerous, not because he hurts others, but because he stops being afraid. Afraid of walking away, afraid of being misunderstood, afraid of not being chosen. He becomes immune to validation. He no longer chases, performs, or explains, because his value isn't something she gives. It's something he remembers. And when a man remembers his value, something shifts in his presence. His words slow down, his eyes pierce. His silence speaks more than his apologies ever did. He becomes the very thing her instincts can't ignore. Not because he tries to be, but because he is. You see, women were not just evolved to be choosy. They were evolved to feel unconscious certainty. That's why they say, "I just knew," when talking about the one who shook them. They can't explain it. They don't need to. Because it was never about logic. It was about biology. You can't negotiate with instinct. You either trigger it, or you don't. That's what David BUSS warned us about. Most men are playing a game they don't even know exists. They're showing up with flowers, poetry, security, to a battlefield governed by selection pressure and psychological cues. They're playing emotionally while she's filtering genetically. And every interaction becomes a test, not consciously. But evolution doesn't ask for permission. Does he lead? Does he doubt himself? Does he need me to feel okay? And most men fail, not because they're bad, but because they were never taught how this works. No father explained it. No school revealed it. And most women won't admit it, because even they don't fully understand what their biology is doing. But the patterns are there, in who they pursue, who they ignore, who they cry over, who they dream about. The same man can say the same words and get completely different results depending on how he says them, from what state he lives in. Confidence isn't a tone, it's a truth. You either believe in your core that you're worthy, or your desperation leaks through every gesture. You've felt this before. When you're grounded, calm, centered, she leans in. But the moment you chase, she disappears. Not because she's cruel, but because her DNA remembers the cost of choosing wrong. Every time she mates, she's gambling with her future. Her subconscious is always asking, will this man protect me, provide for me, dominate the world around us, or be dominated by it? You may not like those questions. You may think they're outdated. But biology doesn't care about modern ideologies. It cares about survival. And the men who understand this, who accept the primal rules underneath the surface, they stop being confused. They start seeing patterns where others see chaos. They no longer get crushed by rejection. They get clarity from it. She didn't choose you? Good. Now you know where you stand. Now you can evolve. Because here's another truth. Evolution demands adapt or be eliminated. And men who cling to outdated mating strategies, who still think being soft, endlessly available, endlessly giving is enough, are being selected out. Not by society, by nature. And nature is cold, but it's fair. It rewards awareness. It rewards strength. It rewards the man who steps into his full polarity. Not the man who hides. Not the man who waits for permission. Not the man who hopes she'll see how different he is. Because the man who is different doesn't wait to be seen. He radiates it. And women feel it, not in their minds, but in their bodies. A tension, a charge, a pull that bypasses logic and goes straight to the nervous system. That's what changes everything. Not your job, not your car, not your text game, but your presence. How you walk into a room, how you handle pressure, how you respond to disrespect, how you set boundaries with zero emotion. Because presence signals dominance, not over her, over yourself. The man who has conquered his own chaos is the man her instincts whisper about. He's not chasing, he's not proving, he's not asking for reassurance. He is, and in that being, he becomes irresistible. This is what most men miss. They focus on what to say, what to wear, what to do, when the real transformation is becoming the kind of man she doesn't want to filter out. That shift doesn't come from tricks. It comes from inner alignment, knowing who you are, what you stand for, what you will and will not tolerate, not just with her, but with yourself. That's when things start changing. Not because women suddenly like you, but because you no longer need them to. You've stopped outsourcing your worth. And that, my brother, is the moment she notices you. Not as an option, but as a force. But the question remains, why is her desire so elusive? Why does it vanish the moment you start giving more, loving harder, staying longer? It's not because she's cruel. It's not because she doesn't feel. It's because her instincts are old, older than morality, older than language, older than you. She isn't testing you for sport. She's scanning for survival. She needs to know if your love is rooted in your spine or in your desperation. If your presence is a gift or a plea. If she can relax into you, or if you'll collapse the moment she steps back. That's the thing no one told you. That love, to her nervous system, is not about peace. It's about trusting your strength under fire. So when she pulls away, when she challenges you, when she says she needs space, what she's really saying is, can I still trust your center if I remove my warmth? And most men fail this test. Not because they're weak, but because they've been trained to earn love through compliance. You were taught that if you give more, you'll get more. That if you prove you're safe, she'll stay. That vulnerability alone is enough to unlock connection. But nature isn't romantic, it's strategic. And her biology doesn't reward the man who needs her. It rewards the man who's aligned with himself, a man who holds his ground, who doesn't abandon his mission for affection, who knows how to feel without becoming emotional prey. That's what ignites her. Not your tears, not your kindness, not your promises, but your energy, the gravity of your being, the fire in your eyes that says, I want you, but I don't need you to remember who I am. Because when a woman feels that subtle detachment, that self-sufficiency, that embodied truth, her desire blooms again. Not because you pressured her, but because you became the environment she longs to surrender in. Understand this. Female choice isn't just about picking the best man. It's about sensing who she can afford to lose herself in. Not the man begging for her attention, but the man she can respect in silence. That's what David BUSS saw through years of evolutionary study. That women aren't just choosing a man for love, they're choosing for legacy, for reproduction, for risk minimization. Because for her, one wrong mating choice could mean abandonment, suffering, or ruin. Her selectiveness is not arrogance, it's strategy carved into her bones. And if you misunderstand that, if you think love is supposed to be easy, equal, and constant, you will resent her instincts. But if you understand it, you can stop fighting reality and start embodying what nature already honors. This is why it hurts so much when she pulls away right when you thought you finally had her. Because she wasn't responding to what you said. She was reacting to what you became. And maybe deep down you became safe, but no longer sacred, predictable, pleasant, but no longer powerful. And here's the truth that will sting. She doesn't want to carry you emotionally. She wants to lean into you emotionally. And if she feels she has to lead, she'll eventually leave. And it won't be out of anger. It'll be quiet, gradual, almost invisible, like a candle running out of oxygen. She'll stop laughing at your jokes, stop texting back with warmth, Stop reaching for your hand without thinking. Not because she hates you, but because something inside her can no longer rest in you. The current that once pulled her toward you is now still, silent, gone. You became emotionally heavy, not because you were honest, but because you were uncentered. Because you looked to her to hold what only you were meant to carry. She doesn't want to be your therapist. She wants to feel your clarity, your calm, your direction, not as a helper, not as a backup plan, but as the signal her biology can't ignore. Because what she's scanning for isn't just love, it's structure, it's command, it's depth without drama. A man who can witness her chaos without adding his own. A man who hears "I need space" and doesn't spiral. Who hears "I don't know what I feel" and doesn't beg for reassurance. Who meets her uncertainty not with collapse, but with calmness. That's when her guard drops, not when you convince her, but when she feels, without words, that you are rooted. Because if she has to become the emotional anchor, she'll feel like the masculine one. And no matter how much she loves you, she can't stay attracted to you if she has to become you. This is the paradox. She'll push you, test you, confuse you. Not because she's broken, but because she's trying to feel something bigger than herself. And if you keep collapsing, she'll stop believing in you. Because beneath her frustration, beneath the cold shoulder, the emotional withdrawal, the distance, there's one question pulsing beneath it all. Can he still hold me when I can't even hold myself? And if the answer is no, if your strength only exists when she's smiling, when she's sweet, when she's easy, then you've built love on the sand. Real attraction, lasting respect, grows from the man who can withstand the storm without becoming it. Not cold, not distant, but steady. That's what awakens her feminine. Not your explanations, not your apologies, but your presence. Unshakable, unbothered, unattached to her mood. She doesn't need perfection, she needs to feel your center. Because when she feels that, something ancient unlocks inside her. A softening, a surrender, a letting go she can't explain. That's when she stops testing. Not because she's convinced, but because she trusts you without words. And that kind of trust? It's not built in conversations. It's built in who you become under pressure. So if you're still chasing her attention, still clinging to her validation, still trying to fix the connection by being sweeter, softer, safer, you've already lost the core of what drew her in to begin with. She doesn't want to be your piece. She wants to rest in yours. And if you can't provide that, she won't stay to teach you how. That truth hurts, but it also liberates. Because the power has always been in your hands. Not in being chosen, but in becoming the man who doesn't need to be. If any part of this echoed inside you, if you felt seen, exposed, or strangely understood, then you're not alone. There are thousands of men waking up to this same realization. That we've been lied to about love, about strength, about what it means to truly be masculine. And that awakening, it starts here. So if this spoke to you, don't scroll away, subscribe, join us, because this is just the beginning, and there's so much more we need to unlearn together.